God. Going too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh, no.
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at my flags, my commander abilities, the modules I have on the ships, all that stuff that you guys have been asking to see, and that I never really talk about. So we're gonna take today's episode and take a look at some of that stuff. Now we'll start off with the Amagi, and we'll go through some captain abilities here that I have on her, fairly standard stuff. But I don't have a Bismarck and I don't have a North Carolina, so I won't be able to say, maybe this captain ability is better on the North Carolina than the Amagi, for example. I won't be able to do that. But where I am using the Amagi most of all in my ranked battles, we'll take a look at the Amagi, and then we'll jump over to some other ships of note like the Kutzov, and maybe the Chapiev as well. We'll see how much time permits. But anyway. In the Amagi, so you can see my captain over here. He's sitting on 4 skill points, almost has enough to get the 5th one, and I will be taking the manual fire control for my secondary armament. The first level 1 captain ability I went with was basics of survivability. I think this is pretty much a no-brainer for a battleship. I want to reduce the time of repair for extinguishing fires, flooding, all that stuff. I want to reduce that in between the times that my repair's on cooldown, right? I want to reduce that as much as I possibly can. So got that at tier 1. Tier 2, I want expert marksman. I know it's only 0.7 degrees a second, but it's still that little extra. I think it's pretty important to have on any of your battleships, because the turrets usually do turn fairly slowly. So I went with expert marksman. Now, another really nice skill here at tier 2 that, is it this one? No, it's not. Rather, anyway, another skill at tier 2 that people might be interested in is last stand for a battleship. I mean, I've definitely seen battleships lose their engines, lose their steering. I've been in them myself. But it doesn't happen often enough that I just don't think last stand is really worth it. At tier 2, for a battleship, I just don't think this is something that you would want to focus on. But anyway, that's what I've got for tier 2. Now, tier 3... Superintendent pretty much goes without saying. You want Superintendent because you want the extra charge of heal is most important, and then as a bonus I get the extra charge on my fighter plane, so that's decent. It's all right. Other things to note here is Vigilance. Vigilance is an incredibly useful captain ability. Incredibly useful. It's really underrated in the game, and not a lot of people do it. In fact, I was going through my ships. I don't have Vigilance on any one of my ships, which is something that I should probably readdress. But this is a really good ability. Now, myself, I will take Superintendent over Vigilance. If I have a 15-point commander and I get that 15-point commander, say, to 18 points, I might pick up Vigilance then as being one of those skills. It might be something that I do. But as it is right now, I do value Superintendent more because I want that extra heal. I'd rather have the extra heal and not use it than find myself in a situation where I don't have the extra heal and I need it. So that's my sort of thinking behind Superintendent. Now, tier 4, I was, it's always a toss-up. Do I want Survivability Expert or do I want my Advanced Firing Training? Survivability Expert, I don't really know where this is going to come in useful. I have it on my Rune Commander. I have it on the Rune Commander, and I've been thinking about changing it. I do have it, I think, on some of my other battleships, and I have it on my Minakazi as its tier 4 captain ability. But when we are looking at Japanese battleships, we do want to remember that the secondary battery, this captain that I have on my Amagi, this will be the captain that gets on my Yamato. I'm in no rush for a Yamato, so it's going to take me a while, to actually get there, because I'm not in any rush to do it. But this will be the captain that will eventually be on the Yamato. So that means that I want to have my secondary batteries completely maxed out on the Yamato. So for this captain, I'm going Advanced Firing Training. The bonus here as well is that Advanced Firing Training does work pretty damn well in ranked battles. I really enjoy it. I think it brings, I know we talked about it before, I think it's like a little over a kilometer extra in distance, but it's worth it. Definitely worth it, especially when you have some destroyers that are nearby. This could save you. Now, moving down to tier 5, I am, like I say, manual fire control. I want this. I want the dispersion to be gone. And some of you, my subscribers, have said that, yeah, so once you get the manual fire control for secondary armament here, you're going to start shredding some things, and I can't wait for that. But these are the captain abilities that I've been using on the Amagi, and I'm happy with them. I don't see any need to change them as they are right now. I'm almost at this manual fire control for secondary armament. Get that and then start rocking that. So I'm pretty happy with where I am in these captain abilities. Now, if we do jump over to modules. Now, we can see what I've got for my upgrades, right? So when I originally got the Amagi, I got the Amagi way back when the game, went from closed beta to live. Had to research everything again and got the Amagi. At that time, some things had changed and we didn't have some of the modules we have now, but I'm still fairly happy with the modules I have. So the first one, main Armaments Modification 1. So what it does is it increases my survivability to my main battery. It decreases the risk of my main battery getting knocked out. It decreases the repair time to my main battery. It decreases the risk of torpedo tubes becoming incapacitated, which obviously doesn't apply in this situation. And then the last two are about, or last three there are about torpedoes, so it doesn't necessarily apply to the situation here. Auxiliary armaments. Yes, this might be something that I would actually consider putting on as opposed to the main armament modification. I mean, I do like that my main guns have a better survivability with this mod, but if I do this, my secondary battery will have better survivability. So it's a toss-up. If this were my Yamato, I would get the Auxiliary Armaments Mod 1. That would be me, but in ranked, keep in mind that your guns are your primary armament, so I'm trying to trick out my guns, not necessarily, I just want adequate secondary fire, so I'm trying to trick out my guns, my main battery, so that I can use them as often as I possibly can. So, again, why I went with main armaments mod 1. Now, you do have your modification, mod 1 as well. Nah, I wouldn't use this, not in a battleship. I don't think it's useful at all in a battleship. Anyway, moving over, Mod 2, Aiming Systems Modification 1. Yes, this is something that you want. Now, the Amagi is already fairly accurate, but you throw this on here and you get minus 7% to your maximum dispersion. You do get plus 5% to your secondary battery firing range, which is nice, and minus 5% to the dispersion of your secondary battery shell. So nice as well. I mean, again, right, I'm tricking out my main guns, which is why I didn't go second battery mod 2, right? I know that this will increase the range significantly, but I'm going to lose my dispersion, and I don't want to lose the dispersion. I still get a little bit of a boost here with the range of my secondary battery, so that's something. But I really want to have minus 7% dispersion on my main battery. I think that it is just going to be more useful to me than having the secondary battery, right? So you can also do your main battery mod 2. This is not something that I would recommend for Battleship whatsoever, because it increases your turret traverse speed, and it increases your turret traverse speed, which is good. Your turrets will turn a lot faster, but it does increase your loading time by 5%. And that extra 5% sometimes can really seem like forever. So I'm pretty happy with the mod 1. Now, AA Guns mod 2, yeah, it's a battleship. And it's not in North Carolina at that. So, I'm not looking to max out my AA here too much. I'm happy with the aiming system mod 1. Now, this is where, there's going to be definitely some differing of opinions. Now, I went damage control mod 1 because I wanted reduce the risk of fire, reduce the risk of flooding, all that lovely stuff, right? We do have propulsion and steering gear as well, but again, in a battleship, how often does your propulsion and your steering gears really get knocked out, right? So I just didn't think that it was as effective as having damage control mod 1. Moving on, I have damage control mod 2. Now again, this could be this could be changed a little. If I put on my propulsion modification, this would allow my ship, allow the Amagi to move around a little faster, right? More importantly, too, you would maintain a higher speed in a full-on turn, which can be nice because it might give you the option of maybe plowing through something. I don't know, but it does have its benefits, so I can see it there. Steering gears mod 2, there is also a benefit to having this on your Amagi. The benefit here is that obviously your rudder shift time increases, you'll be more maneuverable, and you'll have an easier time dodging torpedoes. If we do take a look, however, at the rudder shift time on the Amagi, we're looking at about 17 seconds. So it's pretty slow, pretty slow indeed. But I still do like my damage control mod 2 on here. I haven't had really, issues where my Amagi just isn't maneuverable enough for me to get frustrated with her. Instead, I'm going to take the decrease in flooding and the decrease to fire extinguishing time. Hopefully, this will lead to prolonged life. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, moving into the last module, I go Target Acquisition System Modification 1. The reason why I take this over Concealment is Concealment just doesn't offer enough of a bonus, enough of a boost to the Amagi's Concealment to really make it worth it. With American battleships, you do seem to have quite the ability of concealing your ship, using Concealment. Like if you do a full-on stealth mod in your Montana, for example, I have seen, I've got a friend in the clan, Dorge, he's got it on his Montana, and I have seen Dorge just sail up to someone and shotgun them, and they had no idea the Montana was there until the very last second. Basically, up until the point where Dorge hit click to fire, that was the first indication that those enemies had that there was a Montana spotting them. Obviously, they would see, and know that they're spotted, but they probably think it was a cruiser or a destroyer. No, full-on Montana, broadside, and you're dead. So the Americans' battleships do have this option, and I have seen North Carolina's using this in ranked battles, and it does seem to be effective. I'll say that. I mean, it's going to come down to the player and the situation and the use of the land and the cover that's around you and all that lovely stuff. But it does seem to be effective. If you have a North Carolina, I would suggest doing a Concealment loadout on her, and on top of that, speccing her out for AA, because you can get the AA armament on the North Carolina, I'm pretty sure over 100, which is absurd, but anyway, is something I would recommend. So those are the modules that I've been using on my Amagi. Like I say, I'm fairly happy with them. I like the way that she's been performing. I don't really have any issues with these modules themselves. So those are the modules. Now, consumables, premium everything. Premium everything. You need it. Well, I guess you don't need it, but it will make things a lot easier for you because it reduces the cooldown time, right? I'm paying credits for it. I'm not paying gold, but premium everything. Very, very important. It will make a big difference. You should find anyway. It will make a big difference. Now, if we move over to the exterior view, so we'll take a look at the flags, but just briefly, I always run this camo, Type 5, 22,500. You can see I have some other camos built up as well, but I'm just sort of saving these camos for right now. I don't know why or for what, but just saving them for right now anyway. And then flags, I'm always running Military Month Contributor because this flag is the best flag. It gives me Commander XP, credits, and just XP in the game. I think this is the same bonus you get on the Alpha flags as well. So, I mean, in my opinion, this is the only flag to run because it just makes sense. Maybe the Jolly Roger might offer something, I don't know, but you can see like all these other stupid flags, like, I mean, they're cool, you can fly them around, yeah, great, but what do they do for you? Nothing. Not a damn thing. Anyway, signals. Okay, so I have 8 out of 8 signals on the Amagi here. First one in your battleship that you need to have on here is your India Delta. This is your Dreadnought flag. It will give you 20% to the amount of hit points recovered when the repair party is consumed. So you're going to repair 20% more hit points every time you hit your repair party. So this is incredibly important. You want it. India Delta, that is something that you need to have. There's another one here that's pretty important. Yeah, I use the Yankee or the Juliet Yankee Bizatu, I don't know. 20% to the minus 20% to the recovery of flooding. Very, very important as well. If you eat some torpedoes, you're not able to repair the damage. At the very least, you will have 20% less time to wait before that flooding stops, and it could be the difference between life and death. I don't run my Zulu flag in ranked battles. Not concerned about getting extra credits, right? And it does take up some. It does take up a spot that I could have something more effective in there. November Foxtrot. This is your high caliber flag. I would highly recommend running this flag. Minus 5% to the reload time of your consumables. That's your repair party. That's your repairability, and that's your fighter plane. You want this flag on your ship. I also run my Detonation Flag. When's the last time you saw a Tier 8 battleship get detonated? I know, right? Doesn't happen too often. But I've got it on there because I will not be the battleship that gets detonated that one time because I forgot to put it on. So it's on, and it's going to stay. I don't bother with Hotel Yankee. Die Hard, you know, I'm not looking to ram people here, so I'm not looking for that. India Yankee. This is fireproof. Yes, you definitely want this because this minus 20% is going to stack with all of your other abilities to reduce the time that you are actually going to burn. It is a very, very good flag to throw on there. What do we have here? Yeah, so that's, you know, for your planes and whatnot. Not looking for extra commander experience. I do run this flag here. It's about a flesh wound, and I run it just to reduce the repair costs. You can see I'm getting a little low on those flags. Sierra Mike. I do run my Sierra Mike. It gives me more maneuverability because it increases the maximum speed. I just see it as being, you know, just a given on a battleship. I want the extra speed. Always want the extra speed in the battleship. Again, these are going to be for your aircraft or your cruisers. We'll jump over to cruisers here shortly. And then, of course, my close quarters expert flag. I want that on there. It increases my my range. It decreases the loading time, and it decreases the dispersion. So that is also very good. So we throw that one on there. And that's it for my flags. These are the 8 flags that I've got running on. You can see, I mean, I don't use the Papa because, again, not very useful in this situation. Kraken Unleash is not useful in this situation. I mean, I already have my Azumo unlocked, so I'm not looking to get any extra experience here. Liquidator, again, not very important for a battleship, and our dragon flags and whatnot. So those are my flag totals. If you're interested in knowing how many flags I've got, that is my flag totals right there as they are now. But those are the flags that I run on my Amagi, and I find it has been working very, very well for me indeed. Now let's jump over to the Kutsov, because the Kutsov is the other cruiser that, or is the cruiser that in ranked battles I play a lot. I decided, you know, to move from the Kutsov to the Amagi recently because the Kutsov's a little squishy, but we'll take a look at some of the flags here that I do use on her. So, I don't use the Dreadnought flag because we don't have any repairability, so not going to happen. We definitely are still going to use our Unsinkable. We're still going to use the High Caliber. We're still going to use our Juliet Charlie. We do not want to get detonated. Of course, we're going to use our Fireproof flag here. I have... Well, I guess I have that flag on there. Not really. Let's actually just take this flag off, because we don't need that flag on there. That's not a good flag to have, because it's commander experience, right? Why I don't need commander experience when I'm in a ranked battle. What I do need is more damage. So we'll see. There's self-defense, armament. Yeah, the aircraft again. Not interested. I could put on India. You know, there's about a flesh wound flag here. It's a premium ship though, so the repair costs aren't too bad. Again, Sierra Mike, very important. I want Sierra Mike to go as fast as I possibly can. Victor Lima, let's see, causing bombs. Yeah, no, we're not going to use that. I do use the secondary battery, close quarters expert flag, just to give me that little extra. range on the secondary battery. Sometimes it makes a big difference. You'd be surprised. Not going to use Papa, but we do use India X-Ray, the Arsonists Flag. So this will increase the chance of me setting fire with bombs or shells. And you can see the caliber, 160 millimeter. So 1% for below, 0.5% for above, but it does increase the risk of your magazine detonation. Now, by running your detonation flag, you are going to cancel out all these extra 5%, you know, the risk of your magazine detonation, all that crap. So you cancel those out. So really important to run the old detonation flag. If you're running low on your detonation flags, what I would suggest is queue yourself up in a low tier destroyer, tier 4, tier 5. Play that for a while. You'll get detonated. You'll get some flags. Because when I'm in random battles, I'm not using my detonation flags because I actually want to get detonated so that I can get some more detonation flags. You know, that's how it works. Anyway, we're not concerned with, you know, extra experience. Juliet Whiskey. Yeah, I mean, the Kutuzov does have torpedoes. She does have torpedoes. They go 8 kilometers. But it's not something that I'm too interested in. I just want to double check. We're not going to do that. Let's see what this does. Just self, no. Maybe that's why I had... whatever. We'll leave it the way it is for now. I'll have to go back and figure out what other flag I want on there. But those are the flags that I use on the Kutuzov. And you can see how they do differ than a battleship, right? On my battleship, I'm more concerned about my consumable reload time and mitigating as much damage as possible. With my Kutuzov, I'm concerned about, you know, mitigating as much damage as possible, but also having the highest possible chance of setting fires. That is what I'm really, really interested in the Kutuzov. Now, the Kutuzov captain, I switched between the Donskoy and the Kutuzov here, so this is my Kutuzov captain. Take a look at some of his abilities here, see what we've got. So again, for a cruiser, I do basic fire and training. It is going to decrease the load time of my main battery guns, and it increases the damage per second of my AA gun, so important. Tier 2, Expert Marksman. Again, I want my turrets to turn as fast as they possibly can. They turn pretty quick already, so, you know, it's not out of the question to go for Last Stand here. The reason why I didn't take Last Stand on the Kutuzov is I have smoke on the Kutuzov. So I'm not too concerned, like, you know, if something like this happens, I can pop smoke and just sit in there and let it repair, potentially. On the Donskoy, you know, she's so fragile that I don't really have to worry about getting taken out, or sorry, worry about my engine or my steering gears getting taken out, because frankly, if shots come in, they're probably just going to kill me anyway, so not too concerned about that one. Now, I did go Superintendent. And you can see, you know, Superintendent on the Donskoy definitely works because I get my AA ability, I get my radar, and my heal, so that's good. On the Kutuzov, however, we get an extra defensive fire and we get an extra smoke, which is very, very important. So this is why I take Superintendent over, say, High Alert. Vigilance, for example, right? I'd still take the Superintendent on the Kutuzov because I want that extra charge of smoke. The extra charge of smoke actually is the biggest and most important thing about the Kutuzov. If the Kutuzov didn't have smoke, well, you may as well just take your Chappie. Your Chappie's going to do better for you in that case. Moving on to Tier 4, Demolition Expert. Goes without saying, I want it. Must have on your Russian cruisers. I think all of your Russian cruiser captains should have this ability. You know, all if not most of your Japanese captains, cruiser captains, and German captains. It's really, really a standard for cruiser captains and destroyer captains, frankly. Depending. I mean, advanced firing training sometimes is really good for your destroyers as well. But you can see, I mean, I did have a choice here, right? If I took advanced firing training for the Kutuzov, it would improve my AA defense significantly, but I'm not going to be able to set fires as much. So, you know, there's not going to be aircraft carriers in every battle. And this is why I don't spec out, like I just don't go all one thing. Like with my Kutuzov here, I don't focus totally on the AA armament for the captain abilities. For my captain abilities, I'm more concerned about surviving and dishing out damage with my main guns. We'll get to the modules on the Kutzov here shortly. Tier 5, Concealment Expert. I think that goes without saying. I wanted to reduce the concealment, obviously, on the Kutzov as much as I possibly could. It is working fantastic on the Donskoy as well, because the Donskoy now has the ability to stealth fire once you get your Concealment Expert. Kutzov is not going to be able to stealth fire, but what it does allow you to do is at the beginning of the battles, you're not going to be spotted right off the bat. If you're in your smoke and you're firing out, right, your detection is going to go down quicker. I just think is a really, really important to have on the Kutzov. Even my Chapyev. I don't think my commander isn't on his fifth skill yet on the Chapyev, but when he does, Concealment Expert's the way to go for me. Modules. So, again, oh, I guess we're looking at the Donskoy here. Yeah. Let's run over here. There we go. So, on the Kutzov, I mean premium, so we don't have to worry about that. But the modules, again, premium everything. Premium everything. You can see the Kutzov will only have 2 charges of smoke standard, so you want the Superintendent to give you that 3rd charge of smoke. You really want that 3rd charge of smoke. Upgrades. So here in the upgrades, I did for the most part actually focus on my AA battery. This is really what I wanted. Now I do need to make some changes to this as well, actually, now that we're looking at it, because I haven't looked at it in a little while. So we might need to make some changes. I only have 30 gold, so I'll have to maybe wait till I get some gold. But anyway. Artillery Armaments Mod 1. So I did this to increase the survivability of my AA mounts. There's something to be said, though. Not going to say that this would be wrong, but your main battery mod, main armament mod 1, I think it would be really viable for the Kutzov as well. Because again, it increases the health of your main battery. It's going to decrease the repair time. It's going to increase their survivability. So there is definitely merit there. I would say between one of those. This one, magazine modification, no. Useless. Don't even bother. But between one of those two, again, I went with the survivability of my AA. The reason why I did this was, when people are firing in on you, and or you're firing in on someone, and you can see like the different AA guns, secondary batteries that you're taking out and whatnot. Well, I just want to have as much of my AA guns survive as possible in case I'm in a situation where, it's coming down to my AA, and I need my AA to either protect me or to protect an ally. But you could go other way on that one. Maybe more of a personal choice. Mod 2. AA guns mod 2. Increase the range on my AA guns. This was, again, a no-brainer for the Kutzov, because I did, on these modules, on these first 2, I wanted to focus on my AA modification, because I didn't take AA abilities for the captain, right? This is where I'm making up for it here in my modules. So I went ahead and did that. Made battery mod 2. Yeah, I don't recommend it. Aiming mods modification 1. Yes, I mean it's good to have, sure, but you're a Kutzov, and you are all about your AA defense. I mean, it is an amazing AA defense. So, personal decision there on your own, but I went with mod 2. AA guns mod 2. I just think it's it just seems to work out better for me and my team, more importantly. Now, over here, I didn't want to go damage control. I took propulsion. I mean, I would suggest either propulsion or steering gear, one of those two. Damage control, maybe. I took my rudder shift steering gear mod 2 instead of the propulsion. The Kutzov is pretty fast as it is, but this way I have an easier time of maneuvering within my smoke. Yes, so very important that I have this on the ship, because I want to be able to maneuver within the smoke without actually coming out of the smoke, because I don't want people to see me, obviously. On top of that, you get the added benefit to your ship being more maneuverable, responsive, and able to dodge torpedoes more easily. So there's that benefit and positive there as well. Now, the one thing that I think I should change on here is I should probably add my concealment system, right? This might allow then my Kutzov to fire stealth fire. Let's see what our current concealment is. Because I really... So... 14.1 isn't fantastic. And what does it do? Minus 10%. Yeah, so I guess you'd be down to about... What is that? 10 kilometers maybe? A little more, a little less? Yeah. So yeah, this would probably be something that I should do. Right? Maybe I'll do it right now. Do I have the gold? I do have the gold. I don't really want to spend the gold right now, though, so I'm not going to do it. But I'll have to do it later this week for supremacy. But anyway, the last one I would recommend your concealment. Target acquisition. I mean, target acquisition is nice. I like it. You do get, greater acquisition of torpedoes, greater spotting range, all that lovely stuff. So it's good to have on the ship. More ideally too is if you're playing in, say, Supremacy, and you actually have the Supremacy League and you have the ability to choose who's going to be on your team and whatnot. It's not just random throw together like it is in ranked. To have maybe 2 Kuts-offs with complementary modules, that might be something really, really effective to look at. The only problem is, you take out one of those Kuts-offs, you might lose something that Kuts-off has, so might not work out too well. But yeah, those are basically the commander abilities, the flags, and the modules that I have been using on my ships in ranked battles. And I mean, I don't, other than my flags, like my modules, I try to buy my modules once. I don't like switching around the modules because I don't like paying 25 gold to demount it every time. I think that's dumb. But anyway, I try to buy them once. Now my flags, I will definitely tailor the flags for the battle that I'm about to play in. Like we talked about, the Kuts-off, and I have the secondary battery mod on there, right? Or the secondary battery flag on. Well, I used to never run that flag on the Kuts-off until we started to play more, or until I started to play more Supremacy and more ranked battles. And I just found that I was getting into situations where there were destroyers close into me, and maybe I'm waiting on a reload, maybe my guns are turning, but for whatever reason, I just wasn't able to effectively deal with that player as quickly as I wanted to. So I want to have my secondary batteries, sort of kick in there and do what they can while my guns are reloading, turning on target, whatever the case may be. That's what I want. Now, quickly before we end for the day, we'll take a look at the Chapiev. The Chapiev is a great Tier 8 cruiser, by the way. You get radar. And she is much better than a New Orleans. I would not recommend anyone take a New Orleans into a ranked battle or into a Supremacy League battle. Unfortunately, she has no place in either one of those battles in those systems, so just don't do it. If you want radar, take your Chapiev. The Chapiev has better radar than the New Orleans. It'll go out further than the New Orleans as well. So it definitely has that option there for you. Now the cannons, similar to that, you're going to find the Kuts-off, rapid firing guns. But if we do take a look at some of the modules here that I have, you can see on the Chapiev, I'm not as concerned about my AA armament, right? I'm not looking to upgrade it. It's more about the main guns. So main armament mod 1, the aiming system, very, very important. I decided to go steering gears on this instead of the propulsion. Yeah, you can choose either one. I did go steering gear mod 2 again, so I'm going to be able to turn faster. And this is something actually that I would recommend for probably all of your Russian cruisers, because they all turn fairly slow. They all have fairly slow rudder shift times compared to other cruisers. So if you can get that rudder shift time down, why not, right? Go for it. So I went ahead and have it here. And again, I have target acquisition, but probably one of those things that I should maybe take a look at concealment. Steering gears mod 3. I know this is new and it's amazing and all that stuff. I haven't actually tried it out myself, to be honest. Is it worth it? Maybe. I don't think it'd be worth it on a Chapiev. Chapiev is really, really squishy, and she can die really, really easy. She can't take shots. But maybe if you were in a cruiser like maybe a Mogami or an Admiral Hipper, Yeah, it might be something you'd want to look into, potentially. It could do some good things for you, right? Because, you know, you're going to be able to turn on a dime, basically, and then dodge torpedoes. So I'm thinking about the Hipper, because you get your acoustic sonar on the Hipper, and you might be able to hunt down destroyers fairly effectively. Now, same thing with the Mogami. And the Mogami might be a little better because you have the added advantage of Imperial Japanese Navy high explosive damage, as opposed to the German Navy high explosive damage. The Germans are obviously on the lower end of that one. But anyway, Chapiev is another ship that I'd take a look at and consider bringing in. Me personally, I have seen a lot of Prince Eugens and a lot of Hippers in battles, in ranked battles. I think I asked before, but I'm curious to know if any of you have tried it and if it's worth it. Every time I see one, though, like a Hipper, Prince Eugen, they just seem to die right away. They don't seem to actually do anything. I really think the Chapiev and the Kutsov are the two cruisers that you're going to want for your competitive play. Chapiev, actually, because of the radar on the Chapiev, there are spots on every map that you play where the Chapiev can go, sit behind an island, pop its radar, and keep both spawns detected. And keep both spawns, keep your whole entire team aware of where or when, essentially the enemy destroyers are actually going to push into that cap zone. Now, good and bad. Good because, your team is going to be fully aware of the movement of the enemy destroyers, assuming they're in the cap. Hopefully they'll then react to that and take out the enemy destroyer. Bad in that the place of these islands obviously is fairly close. You can't move out of this island. If you move out, the enemies will probably kill you right away and then you're dead. But if you have a good team and if they utilize the information you're passing on to them through your radar, could work out pretty well. But it's not going to result in any high damage numbers or damage values for you, specifically at the end of the game anyway. But yeah, I thought that's what we do today. Just take a look at some of the modules, some of the captain abilities I've got on, my reasoning behind it, some of the flags that I use. Do I have any different flags on the Chapiev than I do on the other one? No, I don't. So good. But yeah, that's sort of how I set up my ships. And like I say, I try not to get too bogged down in it, especially with the modules. I don't like switching out my modules and paying the 25 gold every time. I think it's just cheap. I guess I'm cheap. I don't want to do it. Because I'd have to, replace it and that, because I'd have to demount. I suppose I could just sell it, right? For money. Damn it, I wish I would have looked at that a while ago, because I went on a pretty big rant there. Oh well, whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Don't care. But yeah, those are the abilities, the flags and the modules I've been using, some of my rationale behind them, and hopefully that helps you guys out a little as well in your ranked play and in your competitive play, and just kind of figuring out what you want to do. What I always try and do, unless it's a certain ship that has something special about her, generally speaking, I'm always trying to trick out the main battery of the ship. So that would be for my cruisers and my battleships. On destroyers, I use Japanese destroyers mostly. So the main battery on your Japanese destroyers is your torpedoes. So I'm trying to trick out the torpedoes as much as I possibly can. And that's generally how I work it. Now, aircraft carriers are a different story altogether. I actually have 3 aircraft carriers looking at this port right now. That is surprising. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.